Fair use, fair use.
Ruben, how we are gonna do them? Slew them. Who them? Who them? Well done. Yo, so me say again. Slew them up their feelings, them a carry. Them done but already and them can't say them sorry, yeah. Slew them up their feelings, them a carry. You know want do them something again? Well, you what you with him? Who them a coulda what that them a try? Them got this king still I see what you all of them die, yeah. Who them a me go see them with them spell? Them this money well and them soul gonna hell, yeah. Who them a coulda who them want us? Them this Marcus I know them all by the dust, yeah. Who them a me go tell them fist flirt? Tell them can't this mama hurt. You know see a dead man them, dopey man them, and not no with them. The fire fi burn them, them don't condemn. I be a dead man them, them don't not like me and me don't not like them. Tell them. You know see a dead man them, dopey man them, and not no with them. The fire fi burn them, them don't condemn. I be a dead man them, them don't not like me and me don't not like them. Tell them some me not keep no funny man friend. Tell them some me not keep no fear mother friend. Now go stoop low me chat the raggy road them. That's why it tread upon them nickname. Who them a coulda what that them a try? Them this king still I say what you all of them die, yeah. Who them a me go see them with them spell? Them this man me well and them so gonna hell, yeah. Who them a coulda who them want cause? Them this Marcus I know them all by the dust, yeah. Who them a me go tell them this flirt? Tell them can't this mama earth. So me burn out them dirty heart, them evil heart and them corrupted thought. No much heart, snake on the grass, bow to the boss. Move too fast, me tell them about their harm. Who tell them to provoke the youth them to rock? Now the youth them say them not trust me shut after dark. Now take no check now, no full talk. Them know who I come straight from them heart. Know who are hypocrite from the way how them talk. This the emperor and watch the whole of them last. Can't even find food to put in at them chart. Not even bicycle, much less than the cat. Can't even creep, much less to walk. Them can't even smile or laugh. The one you name, who them a coulda what that them a try? This king still I say what you all of them die, yeah. Who them a me go see them with them spell? This money well and them soul gonna hell, yeah. Who them a coulda who them want cause? Them this Marcus I know them all by the dust, yeah. Who them a coulda what that them a treasure? Tell them can't this mama meager. Yo, since the doggy way like them never get a pence. Seems like them go to school and go on bench. Them not have no faith, no confidence. No old nights, them not black, no reverence. Find out enough of them disobedience. So me find out them don't have no conscience. Them not have a clean heart nor a clear conscience. This king still I see it never makes sense. You know see a dead man them, dopey man them, and not no with them. The fire fi burn them, them don't condemn. I be a dead man them, them don't not like me and me don't not like them. Tell them some me not keep no funny man friend. Tell them some me not keep no fear mother friend. Now go stoop low me chat the raggy road them. That's why it tread upon them.
Dish deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. Dish deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks.
Previously on Canaanland Moors.
So you were saying that you were down there,
yeah,
and then you noticed.
I noticed your face cap and I came to speak to you guys. I just want to know where you got it from. I've been looking for one too myself because the last time I was about 20 years ago when I got married.
That's the last
special
time.
occasions, right?
Yeah, special occasions.
In Sri Lanka?
Yeah, in Sri Lanka. We call ourselves Ceylon Moors.
Ceylon Moors, exactly. You know about the Ceylon Moors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
يا وجيه الدين والكرم وحليف العلم والحكم نبي 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 رسول الله سلام عليك يا رفيع الشان والدرج رسول 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 يا وفي العهد والدمام وحميد السعي والشيم آمين 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 يا رسول الله يا عمدتنا يا إمام الأنبياء الأمنا خاتم 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 وفقيد المحو مفترق منه بالإفلاس والعدم رحيم 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 يا وجيه الدين والكرم
Because the Arab gave you that fez. Because before the Arab gave you that fez, our people wasn't wearing fezzes. We were wearing turbans.
The acorn. Acorns have a deep and rich symbolism in Druidry, which we know as Moors. Right? Now, why would Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, Kemetans, whatever, Nubians, whatever, why would they depict themselves with acorns on their head if it doesn't represent something? Why would that be in stone? That they have the acorn on their head. And then all the chematologists will just stick to the fact, well, you know, it's just an acorn on their head, you know. That's just something in hieroglyphics, you know, it's nothing really. But really and truly, you know, the acorn represents the fez. Yes. The acorn represents the pineal gland. The acorn represents man reaching deific life.
Yes. And now, our feature presentation.
So let's start again with etymology, right? Because we'll hear Moors out there will say the etymon, but they'll never say etymology. And in the beginning, when folks first started hearing etymon, they didn't know what the hell it was, when a person could have just simply said etymology. So you can know exactly where to go look, right? That is deception. When they say etymon, they know damn well you don't know what etymon is. Well, you have to go get an etymon dictionary. When they could have just said, go get an etymology dictionary. So you could easily find what you need to find to look up.
This is the kind of discussions that I had when I started studying etymology. My co-workers, teachers, would say to me that etymology cannot be used. How can the students use etymology? They have to know the current meaning of words.
For all you Garveyites out there, to where Garvey got his information on to break back down to our people on a mass whole was from and what they call an Caucasian Illuminati society, right? But we know that it's bigger than that, okay? It's not only just from a Caucasian Illuminati society. He got his information from the brothers and sisters on the other side of the world that has always been trying to, throughout periods of time, colonize and conquer our lands because of the fertility of our land.
Don't let these clowns fool you. I beg you, don't let these clowns fool you. Don't be convinced that people from across the world came over here and they didn't come here to teach us knowledge because they knew that we were dumb Negroes. For example, Deuce Muhammad Ali, who was a scholar in his own right. And what did he do? He made Marcus Garvey write for his newspaper. He made Marcus Garvey write for his newspaper in order for him to be around people who had knowledge, not some Freemason European BS. Stop listening to incompetent people. Go get the book, Islam in the African American Experience by Richard Brent Turner. Stop listening to dumb Negroes who have a YouTube page and think they're scholars. Go study.
Islam.
This is class number 9. So today's class is in honor of Marcus Garvey, who's very strong tomorrow, right? And Marcus Garvey is the forerunner of the Moorish movement. So we're gonna honor him by recognizing one of his teachers, right? One of the people who actually inspired him to do everything that we give Garvey credit for. Like whatever Garvey did, and people say that he did, right? It was through the influence of Deuce Muhammad Ali. And then when you research Deuce Muhammad Ali, you'll find out that the only picture that you could find of him is one with his fez on. Like that's just the picture. Put up his name, that's the picture. Not all the pictures of him. Right? You know, just like you would go look for pictures of the Prophet and you'd only find certain pictures. You go look up Elijah Muhammad, they have all types of pictures on him. You know, look up Malachi York, they got all types of pictures. They got pictures from Malachi York when he was singing R&B songs.
album covers, evidence, years of footage, right? And it comes back to that repetitive theme of the influence that the Moors have on civilizations. And we're not talking on a global scale. We're not talking like on an international scale. We're talking about in specific jurisdictions, there was always Moors there amongst the people who were Christian or atheists or whatever they wanted to be. And they were there for one specific purpose, and that was to give back to those who are always less fortunate if they don't say that they're a Moor when they're a Moor. If you are a Moor, dark-skinned, African, Negro, if you're that, and your real identity based on that description is you're a Moor, and then you're not saying that you're a Moor, then you just abandon yourself. Nobody did it to you like the white man did something. Like you did it to yourself. And then you lie on him and call him the white man. But he never claimed that. He claimed Europe. That's why he says, no, don't call us Caucasians, call us Europeans. You know, don't call us troglodytes from the Caucasus Mountains. Call us Europeans. Because we brought them into this realization that you have to belong to some type of landmass or have allegiance with one. Right? So in every single jurisdiction, the Moor is present. And unfortunately, it's not talked about unless Moors talk about it. That's why Prophet said, have your own paper, change the literature, make sure, you know, the Holy Quran and whatever certain temple things, you're not charging people for it. They just get that. Because they're just supposed to get that. Because it's supposed to be common knowledge. Right? So it's our job to put out certain information. So majority of the information on Deuce Muhammad Ali that's being presented today is out of this book, Deuce Muhammad Ali, 1866 to 1945, the autobiography of a pioneer, Pan-African, and Afro-Asian activist, compiled with an introduction by Mustafa Abdel Wahid. Right? So Mustafa Abdel Wahid received his BA degree in political science, global affairs, and international development from University of North Carolina. And then the Prophet was born in North Carolina. Right. The LLM and international law from Baku State University, the MLIS degree in library and information science from University of Wisconsin, and the PhD degree in political science from Auburn University in Alabama. Dr. Abdel Wahid has presented papers at many conferences on Islam and politics and role of library in developing countries. So this is his book right here. And then you can just, you know, you can order it online. You can go to, I know Brother No Shakir at Nile Valley Bookstore. Just got some in. So you could talk to him to get them. Nile Valley Books, I don't have the number on me, but you can just look that up and his phone number will come up. So Deuce Muhammad Ali in America, and that's just like a portion of the book, right? Oh yeah. And this is Brother Abdel Wahid. And the book's extensive. Excuse me. You know what I mean? Like, get the book. Because we're only dealing with the part about America, and it's maybe like 10 pages or 15 pages of the book. And then all the other book is dealing with his travels throughout the world. And it's in the first person. what I mean? So it's actually his writings. Like Deuce Muhammad Ali's writings. So I encourage you to get the book, and it's cheap too. It's not even expensive. It's like $20 or something like that. Right? So the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the last chapter starts off with, the last prophet in these days is Noble Jew Ali, who was prepared and divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner of Jesus who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare and meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Jew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah, to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own, and be one with their Father God Allah. Alright, so that's in the Holy Quran, that Marcus Garvey is the forerunner of the Moorish movement. Right? So this is the Marcus Garvey obituary from the Comet newspaper, or part of the obituary from the Comet newspaper, August 17th, 1940. When we visited the United States in 1920, we were pleasurably surprised at the size of the international organization he had founded. It was not within the compass of his endeavors to lead his people to the promised land of political and economic freedom, but he has unquestionably altered their outlook as no previous leader seemed capable of accomplishing. Right? And then he wrote this emotional obituary because of the infiltration in the UNIA. And they were trying to put him against Marcus Garvey during the time of Marcus Garvey going to prison. So they were trying to basically get Garvey out to let Deuce Muhammad Ali be the head of the UNIA. This is what like UNIA people were doing. So people in the UNIA were trying to push Garvey out. And it was around the same time that Deuce Muhammad Ali was in America. And they wanted to get him in that position. Right? Not taking anything away from them for doing that. But look at it from the perspective of, you're going to go with the Moor to back you, to be the captain of the ship, or you're going to go with the black guy, the African. If it came to saving the nation. Right? They should have did it personally and showed him, yo, like, you're not the man for the job. Like, we respect you and we honor you and we, you know what I mean, appreciate everything that you did, but you're not the man for the job. Like, there's a man that's for the job. Right? And if they brought that to him, and Garvey was sincere in the liberation of his people and have no ego or nothing, he would have gladly stepped down and let the Moor lead the organization, because he already has a track record, which is what we're not going to deal with today. The fact that Deuce Muhammad Ali's track record goes back to like the House of Commons in England. This is a Moor walking around in a fez in the House of Commons. One more.
right? When we go through some of the people that he had contact with when he was in the United States, it's like, you guys still don't want this? Here's a Sudanese Egyptian. Sudanese Egyptian coming to America to push Islam as a Moor, wearing a fez and all that. Just like Elijah Muhammad used to wear, just like Noble Drew Ali wears, wearing suit and tie, just like how the Nation of Islam looks. Right? Yeah, his track record is, when you have to get the book. That's how serious it is. And this is just one Moor. Like how much other Moors that we never heard about that were walking around in those times. Because no way that there was just this one individual with a fez walking around. In 2011, and we at least have 2 people with fezzes in there. Right? So it's all about pumping the book, because I don't want nobody to say that, oh yeah, you know, these guys made a DVD of my book and I'm not getting any money off of it. Go buy the book. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook or on whatever, support the book. Autobiography of Pan-African and Afro-Asian Activists by Mustafa Abdul Wahid, Deuce Muhammad Ali. So philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey. Independence of nationality, independence of government is the means of protecting not only the individual but the group. Nationhood is the highest ideal of all peoples. So Noble Drew, Marcus Garvey told him that's about nationhood, because he's the forerunner of the prophet. And what else is he going to talk about? People could say whatever, that oh, he never talked about nationhood. He talked about unity only amongst our own or whatever. Okay, it's still nationhood. But you can't be a nation with no status. You can't be a nation absence of a free national name.
Damn it. Fair use. Right? And then later on down the road, we're going to break down the differences in headdress and what these headdresses really mean. Because folks don't know what a lot of these headdresses mean. They think they know, but they don't.
The fez represents the universe. This is the womb of woman, the nature of civilization on planet Earth and this particular solar system. There's the umbilical cord, there's the navel, there's the ball of mud called Earth, and these are degrees of the Earth rotating around the sun, representing knowledge, representing Isis, representing Horus, representing all the symbols that are said in the ancient mystery schools that are actually the powers of the universe. And that's really what it is. And when you graduate with what they call a mortar board in school, and they give you a geometric duplication of this that they call a mortar board, which is masonry. Split into 4 parts, and you throw it 190 degrees, 180 degrees when you graduate, because it represents #1 figure, the crown of the earth. Okay. And Fez is actually Marrakesh, Morocco, the real government on the planet Earth.
There's a difference in the headdresses.
It was a divine plan. America didn't happen by chance. All this was part of the divine plan that this would come about. The Moors then had a plan for a new world order. A one world, new world order. That was a Moorish plan originally. The Europeans inherited that plan through the Masonic Lodge, which was the vehicle by which we civilized and taught the Europeans. And so now when we hear them saying it, we ready to...
All right, so they civilized and taught the Europeans, right?
It was a divine plan. America didn't happen by chance. All this was part of the divine plan that this would come about. The Moors then had a plan for a new world order. A one world, new world order. That was a Moorish plan originally. The Europeans inherited that plan through the Masonic Lodge, which was the vehicle by which we civilized and taught the Europeans. And so now when we hear them saying it, we ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater, thinking it's from them. No, we originally laid out that plan for one divine world order. And they merely inherited it. And when we fell off, they still espoused it. Even though many of them are not carrying out right and exact, because you got to understand that the European Masons who run this government, who run the international scene, that they're under certain oaths and obligations. There's certain things that they can't do. There's certain things that they can't speak on. They're functioning more or less in a custodial capacity or fiduciary capacity. They will make custodians. When we were falling from power, we said, all right, you see this throne? We're going to make you custodians of this throne. You're going to become the keepers of the light, not the bearers of the light. We were the bearers of the light. We was one who was able to actually go out there and re-educate the whole human family of planet Earth. We made them keepers, which means that it's but so much they could speak on. You look at their degree structure. Water freezes at what? 32 degrees, right? Well, the highest they go is 32 degrees, which means what? Their wisdom, their water, their wisdom is locked up. It's froze shut. They can't get out here teaching like we can. It's froze shut. And maybe once in a while, one of them may be honored with the honorary 33rd degree, and then they throw it out a little more. Maybe they can say a few things, but not too much. You see what I'm saying? And so we put those Europeans in power when we fell from power, because at that time, the Catholic Church, through the Franciscan and Dominican orders, was destroying everything that the Moors had built up. All the civilization, all the high science that we had developed and cultivated and built up, they was destroying on a global level. And so we put the Europeans and Masons in power. We refer to them as the mystic Turks, or chief protectors of the sacred shrine. The shrine of what? The shrine of Moorish science, of Moorish civilization that we had cultivated for so long. We put them there in charge of it. And so they're custodians. And it sometimes happens that custodians forget their place and they start to think that they're the ones. But we got to remind them, y'all not the ones. Y'all the custodians. Y'all was to hold it and preserve it until we wake back up and then get this thing back on its original divine plan. So we are to convey to America that we're not about overthrowing this. No. As a matter of fact, we're about getting this thing back function on its original divine purpose. Because if we don't, it's going to be destroyed. As you see what's happening right now.
Now, I want folks to understand something. You notice they always tend to always go after the Caribbean islands around the continent. This has something to do with what you call your Moors, okay? They always have something to go with. They always go after the islands around the American continent. And why do they go after the islands around the American continent? Because the islands was where the naval fleet was. The massive naval fleet, the massive ships. When you see them showing shows talking about Agamemnon and his great army fleet of ships, right? And I have that dictionary coming to me within the next 2 days. But how they broke down Moors just meant sea people. That is it. Sea people. It didn't distinguish which geographical location. All right. It just meant seafaring people. Okay. And we did not give ourselves the name Moors. We didn't do that. That's not what we called ourselves.
There came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain. The Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S. From 711 until 1485, 774 years, when we built and brought into Europe the university system, building the University of Salamanca, S-A-L-A-M-A-N-C-A in Spain, a copy of the University of Genève from ancient Ghana, which was equally a copy of the University of Sankore in Tombouctou, which the French later called Timbuktu.
Let's read a bit further down. It reads, "It should be also noted that a number of medieval European scientists and members of other disciplines, such as Copernicus, Roger Bacon, and Johann Kepler received much of their basic understanding from the researches they made when they became in contact with the original treatises on science which the Africans of Northeast and North Africa originated and developed, and from works which the Moors introduced to the Europeans when they entered the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal, southern France, in around 711 CE, under the command of the African general Tariq, for whom the Rock of Gibraltar is named. True, the Arab Moors and Berber Moors also contributed in this respect to the Europeans, but they followed the African Moors. Well, 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 what do we have here?
Now you're going to have to study and study till you find out what we called ourselves. Because what I also started noticing that when we start giving certain information, folks don't look deeper into the information that they were given. Okay. Moors, I've seen them kill a white man, bringing truth about humanity. Right? So
now let's go to Dr. Ben's book, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, and go to page 480. It reads, "It must be remembered that the father of European history, Herodotus, described the originators of the mysteries system as being similar to any of the people called Negroes in the United States of America, or Bantus in the African continent. Even those later on called Moors fit this description." Now this is extremely interesting. Dr. Ben states that even the father of European history says the originators of the mysteries system are similar to the people called Negroes in the United States of America, or Bantus in the African continent, even those later on called Moors.
This is what it is. That's what it means. Seafaring people. Sea people, right? Us here in the Americas, we had the greatest naval fleet, right? And then they started calling those folks Maroons. And then the Moors started saying, yeah, well, see, they call Maroons because they come from the Moors and we're Moors and they start throwing the word Moor and everything. And when you look up the etymology of the word Moor, because which the Yenkunkum Pikibo, who they call the Granny Nanny Maroons, right, now are coming out and telling you straight point blank, do not call us that, because it's literally a disrespect to meaning like as if you are calling us nigger. You understand? Now, there's a deeper context to also the word maroon, but it has nothing to do with the Moors.
What?
Moortown is situated in the lush highlands of eastern Jamaica and is home to the descendants of independent communities of former runaway slaves known as Maroons. The inhabitants of Moortown have preserved several economic, political and social aspects of their specific heritage, including a unique system of communally held treaty lands, a local political structure, and the use of the abeng, a side-blown talking horn of Jamaican origin, which serves as a means of long-distance communication.
So the etymology of Moorish, of or pertaining to Moors, mid 15th century, from Moor plus ish.
We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
Moor, M-A-U-R, is on the walls of ancient Egypt, and it means Palermo Stele, the title of the high priest of Anu. It does not mean black. Moor does not mean black. The definition of Moors, according to Dr. Ben, is African Muslims from Mauritania and Morocco mixed with Arab Muslim invaders from Arabia. Also, Africans of any place who were Muslims when the Portuguese invaders entered Africa in the 15th century CE. African Moors preserved the ancient teachings of their ancestors in the ancient Egyptian and Nubian mysteries systems. African Moors had a great relationship with their Egyptian and Nubian brothers and sisters.
Now, in biblical dictionaries, the word ish means man, okay? In the biblical definition of ish, it means man. It goes back to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve. All right? It literally means man. So when you put more plus ish, you have more man. Okay? A Mormon.
What?
One of the histories is there was a guy named Brigham Young and a guy named Joseph Smith. Brigham Young was a dude who basically carved out a place in Utah after the traditional Moorish Empire. After the traditional Moorish Empire was broken up. So when they started to get rid of Moors and people that look like me, a lot of the Freemasons who adopted the Moorish science in secret, like Brigham Young, decided to incorporate a lot of the tenets of the Moors into this new pseudo-religion that he was trying to create. Because what they wanted to do was create a religious path for themselves to live as Moors without really being Moors. So he comes up with this whole Book of Mormon thing and then comes up with the gods of this that were called the Moranai. Now the Moranai were the gods who basically eventually came down and built with Jesus when he came into the American shores. Now all of this came from the Circle 7 Quran as well as the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. But what the Book of Mormon does have is it talks about the 364 years of intermittent conflict between the original tribes, the Amalekites, the Levites, the this, the that were already over here. So after a certain amount of time, you got a bunch of Caucasian people who were trying to leave and get out of the jurisdiction of the Union. So he brought them to a place called Utah and basically set up the tenets of what would be the so-called Mormon religion. So the problem with that, though, was that he basically set himself up to be the prophet, but he himself was only a 32nd degree Freemason that was basically out of the Knights of Pythias Lodge, as well as it was the Knights of Pythias and the Knights of the Golden Circle. But what happened was when he decided to adopt Moorish science and start living with his people, like the reason why this is why they practice polygamy, this is why they dress in all white, this is why they act like they follow the Bible, but really this dude was setting himself up to be a white Moor, what's called a tawny Moor. So the United States government knew that he was basically trying to set up his own thing to make himself God. So what they decided to do was attack them. And so the Mormons agreed that the only way that they could still be a religion is if they get away from some of the tenets of the Moorish science. So right now, the gods in the Moorish science, the gods of the Mormons, are the Moors, but they don't know that because they're encoded in the term Moroni, M-O-R-O-N-I, right? That is the God, but that is a code. That's a code word. But because they're not initiated into the higher mysteries of the whole thing, they don't really know. So they'll look at somebody like us and think that we clowning them. But really, they need to build with us if they want to know why they're not getting certain knowledge or why they're not being promoted. So one of the terms they use for their acolytes or slaves is elder. Because they want to make them think that they're older than they really are, because they're really not. The term elder, this is also the connection with the Moorish name, because E-L in elder is the eels of the Moroni, which represents the Moors on high, right? Who gave Brigham Young the science for him to set up the pseudo-religion that they call Mormonism, which is really a deified, bastardized version of Moorish science, what do you call it, Scottish Rite, Freemasonry, and limited Judaism based upon their attachment to the Old Testament. Judeo-Christianity, essentially. But they're practicing Moorish science, which is why they deal with polygamy, which is why they dress in all white, which is why they call their spot, which is why they call their place of worship a temple, which is why they follow the Moors on high. When you look at the pictures of the Moors on high, the Morana, right? It's a bunch of Moors making salat. I know because my man went to the Crystal Temple that they don't know about in Utah and seen the whole thing. And it's a bunch of Moors like me with fezzes and all of that. And he asked them, he said, well, who is this? They said, oh, those are the Morana. So now he's a Moor. Now he looked to see and he looked at it, he's like, oh, so the Morana are the Moors on high. Okay, these are the ones that gave you the safrai. But see, all of that is 86 name because they got to keep the racial specific aspect that is going. So the Mormons used to teach that black people came from mud people, right? Came from mud, right? So this is a bastardized version of the history of us being brought up from the dust, right?
Or from the clay.
Or from the clay, right? But that's not the first man made in the image of the Creator. That was the leap man made from the dust, who would be the slave. So they also have genetic testing in the Mormon thing, where they try to test your genetics to see where you come back from, but really they're not telling you.
Some Scientology?
Yeah, it's pseudo-Scientology.
Yes.
But what they're not telling you is what they're doing with them genetics. It's a mind control thing. Any religion that's based upon a secular idea that's coming from an ancient Aboriginal context, but it's now couched in some sort of Freemasonic bullshit, what you're dealing with is mind control on a mass level. So a lot of these guys will talk about, you know, the Book of Mormon is this, and that. I've read it. It's dope because it talks about the aspects of Moorish history that they have not qualified as that. They call the Moors in those books the Amalekites, the Amalekites, the Zidonites, the Jebusites, the Zionites, all of these different tribes of Moors that were here in North Central South America as well as over in the East. When they talk about Isa, they talk about one of the biggest selling points of the book was that it talks about how Isa came from over here to America after he resurrected himself and all of this other shit. All of this shit come out of the Circle 7 Quran. All of this shit come out of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. All of this stuff come out of the Muslim customary law that Brigham Young himself was studying at the time that he came up with the idea of setting up the thing. So Joseph Smith popped it off. But that's all because he took the knowledge of the so-called neophytes, who are the Moors, right, who gave him this science. But because he betrayed his Masonic oath with the United States government, that's why, to keep it secret, that's why they went and tried to shut down everything, and they wound up moving all the way to Utah. So the main home office that they with in Utah is there, but right next to the Crystal Temple is what? A Scottish Rite. The Scottish Rite temple with sphinxes and all this other shit on it that the high elders go to, but they don't tell the young ones. You see what I'm saying? Because the young ones is the foot soldiers that go out there with no real knowledge to try to convert the weak minded. But the Bible said, "Come to me, those who seek me shall find me. Those who seek me in another will find another." So you can't be talking about you reading the Bible and the Book of Mormon, because that's a contradictory to the very Bible or scripture that you say that you down with. Because your man Brigham, your man Joseph, these niggas was reading not only the Bible, they was reading the Quran, where they got a lot of this knowledge from, but they'll never tell them that because they only deal with people that's on a lower frequency. So what I say is there's a phrase in Latin that says qui cumalio contrahit vel est contrahit vel est vel debet esse, which means he who knows the contract should know what the contract itself is attached to. So this means that if you are believing and giving your soul to something, know the very tenets and the roots of where it came from. Because genetically there is a lot of, like, right, nothing is authentic anymore. So if you want to be authentic, you got to go to the root of whatever you're giving your spiritual energy to. Because you could be duped into believing things in this world are real when really they are set up to block you genetically from your own gods,
from your own inheritance,
your own genetic line, your own people. Like I said, they was teaching these people, like I was saying, they were teaching these people that black people came from mud. You understand what I'm saying? So now these same people that was teaching you that you was coming from mud and as a slave, these are the same people that's going to deal with you equality with their God. You're going to go and worship their God when their God is basically is based on your ancestors. You asking for a spiritual, you need what they call a shakabuku, a swift spiritual kick to the head. So in that, we want to give thanks and praise to the true creator of the universe. We want to give thanks and praise to everybody to be under their own vine and fig tree, and for those people to really be about what they say they're about and know the origin of who you are. Because if you don't, they will tell you and convince you that you're from everywhere else. But in the end, you will always be you, and they will always be them. And first in time, the Moors, right? The melanated people, the darker races of the planet,
which
first in line.
And will include all. But it's interesting when the all won't include us.
Indeed. So again, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, be under your own vine and fig tree, know your culture, know your history. Peace.
That's what you have, right? So folks out there can't be biased with this etymology when they come and they say, well, etymology says this, and etymology say that. But when you come and you touch on this word here, more, or anything dealing with the Moor, oh, no, brother, no, you don't got it right.
Right below the description of Africa is the description of Al-Kibulan. And it reads, the ancient name of Africa by the Moors and Ethiopians.
But the history don't show and tell of these people ever coming from the Americas. That's a fact. Right? So then when you go back down into etymology, Moor, North African Berber, late 14th century from Old French Moor, from medieval Latin Morus, from Latin Marahus, inhabitants of Mauritania. Where is Mauritania? Northwest Africa, a region now corresponding to northern Algeria and Morocco. Where's Africa?
I've come through all this entire structure and learning all this stuff here, and nobody ever told me about the Moors and about this great history that's been hidden here in the West. I didn't understand it. And let me tell you, I'm going to give you a quick little thing and I'm going to get off here, is that for some reason, when I went to college in the very beginnings, I studied Western Civilization 2 instead of Western Civilization 1, initially for my associate's degree. And during that period, that was up to date, I think, from the 1800s on forward. But when I got into, started to pursue my bachelor's degree, I had to go back to Western civilization, and everybody was just as puzzled as I was as to why would you take Western civilization too? I said, well, I didn't do it. It was just on my, this is just the way it was arranged. And here it is. I came equipped with all this information concerning this great new knowledge that I had been gaining about Moorish history and Moorish science. And we get to this portion in Western Civilization 1, we're talking about the Moors or the Saracens and the Moorish history and stuff, and it actually literally had about 2 or 3 paragraphs in there, on the entire history of the Moors. And I challenged that. I challenged that. And when I challenged that, the professor turned about 3 shades of different colors. He turned beet red at first. Then it seemed like all the color drained out of his face. He turned really white, like he was going to pass out. Then he turned bluish color. And then he left his podium, and he came down to me. He came down to me, and it was another sister I had been sort of like sharing some information with. And we were sitting in the center of the classroom. He came down from the podium, and he stood by me, and I never forget. And he says, please. He says, please. He said, please. He says, what you're saying is very, very poignant. It's a very important point. But please, just allow me to get finished with what I'm doing here, and we will talk about that a little bit, right? So I said, okay, well, I agree, yeah. And so he finished with his dialogue and going on through the rest of the histories and et cetera. And it's coming to the end of his session, and he walks back down from his podium, back down to me. He says, stay after class. I said, well, we do have some other classes. He said, just stay. I need you to stay here. I need you 2 guys to stay here. So I stayed. We sat there, and he told me something that was extremely revealing. He says, I cannot tell you about Moorish history because it's not on your curriculum. He told me that this is a matter of grave importance for you to understand. This is a European telling me this. He said, this is a matter of grave importance for you to understand. And he said, if I made a public declaration and started to teach on this subject, he said, I would be immediately fired.
And if you want to go, it's going to be too much for me to pull it up. But there's old maps, even Sister Phoenix has shown some of these maps with a small plot of land called Afrique. That is the original Africa. So the big continent that you now know as Africa is not Africa. It is a small plot of land. Small plot of land. Right? It's just like how what they now call Africa, the entire region was called Ethiopia. Before it was called that, it was called Asia. Right? Now it's reduced to also a small plot of land. Right? Long story short, those who they call Moors are from Africa now, what we now call Africa. This is where they're from. You understand? Anything with that ish on it also, in another context, with that ish on it, means something like, but not quite. You're African-ish? Are you black-ish? Yeah, but not quite. Right? More-ish? Yeah, but not quite. So the treaties, the contracts that were signed off with the U.S. corporation was not signed with Moorish people. It was signed with Moors.
Well, I will say that before we even went to the ceremony, Kahimra he had his fez and he had the traditional graduation cap with him, and I wasn't sure exactly how he was going to represent. And so when I came in, I was standing. There was no seating for me, and I was standing there with my camera, and I was anticipating him coming in, but I couldn't tell any of the individuals apart. And when he walked in, the first thing I did was I did an about face. I ran to my aunt and I said, "He has on his fez. He is representing." And then I ran back to where I was initially standing, and I prepared my camera. The crowd the crowd that was around me was silent, and some of the women were saying, what is that? Why does he have that on? You know? And so I let them say whatever they were saying, because at that moment I was so, I wasn't just proud because he was graduating. I was thinking about the Prophet, and I was thinking about my father, God Allah.
Right.
I was thinking about his Canaanlnd grandson, and he's only 5 years old. And we want to raise him to know we are raising him to know who he is. And what better way than to see his grandfather walk out in the crowd as a Moorish American. And so, you know, the people were looking at him and staring at him, and many of them were referring to his fez as a hat. But you know, the sister, I was like, it's called a fez. And there was no seating for me. And so I had to travel to another area in order to watch the ceremony. So I went to the balcony, and I said to the people that were sitting in front of where I was standing, when my husband goes to get his, would you mind if I come forward to snap some photographs? And they said, yeah, where's your husband? I said, oh, you can't miss him. He's over there in the red fez. And they were smiling, and they said, congratulations. Why do you have the fez on? Why does he have the fez on? And I said, he's a Moorish American, and he's representing for the Moors today. And they said, well, congratulations. And they were very happy for Kaheen and myself. The energy was really high. I couldn't stop smiling. We had several other pictures at home. And it was just, it was twofold. It wasn't just about, it was something bigger than us. You know, and the administration there at Thaddeus Stevens, they know about the Moorish Americans. And, you know, when they called out Kaheen's name, they didn't say, he didn't have them say that. He had to say Kaheen Barnes Bay. He had them say, C and Bay. So when they yelled out C and Bay. And, the administration, when he got up there, you could see all of their faces. Some of them were, the president was just, he just looked at Kaheen because he knows Kaheen. Yeah. Kaheen Rai. He looked at him and, you know, shook his hand and everything. But there were people up there who were angry. Or some of them, they looked like they were just blatantly frustrated. When we come out and we represent, it's just like there's some frustration and some anger that comes from people, because I don't know if you're familiar with the Prophet's warning, but, you know, stop showing your cards, because your cards may cause confusion. They cause frustration. They remind the Europeans that this is not their land, and go home. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
yeah, more dope.
So when he was up there and he was walking across the stage, you know, I could see their expressions, and I couldn't move, and I stood there for a while just so I could take note of it. And people were shocked. It was the older Europeans that were really taken aback. The younger ones were just, you know, questioning, what is it, why does he have that red, quote-unquote, hat on, you know, and all you have to do is explain.
Yep.
You know, it's just that simple, a simple explanation, and then they want to know more. Especially when we say that the fez is this is our royal headdress. You know, this is what we're supposed to, we are ordained to wear when we're in public. I had my turban on with my Moorish American pin. with the crescent moon and star on. And so, you know, people were asking questions, but at the end, like I said, the energy was high.
Yeah.
Some people were frustrated. You can't, hey, it is what it is.
Let's go down to here. And you call yourself something very degradable. Moor, another noun. Waste ground, waste ground, wasteland. Right? Land is ground, ground is land. Wasteland, waste ground. Old English, moor. Morass, swamp. From Proto-Germanic mora, right? Source also of Old Saxon, Middle Dutch, Dutch mer, swamp, Old High German, moor, swamp, also see, German, moor, moor. Old Norse, moor, moorland. Marcy, perhaps related to mer. Or from root to die, hence dead land. So you're also calling yourself dead, right? And since you, as the Aborigine, is calling yourself a Moor or a Moorish American, and you're calling yourself dead, it means since you are lost in identity, you are lost. You are lost at sea, dead at sea, or a dead ship on dry dock.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You're dead at sea. You understand? You're stillborn. You're stillborn. This is why when you're supposed to get back your certificate of live birth, they turn around and give your parents a death certificate labeled a birth certificate, because even a stillborn is given birth to. But you don't bring forth life. A stillborn don't have a life event because there's no life in a stillborn. Okay? None.
Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
The verb of a Moor, to fasten a vessel. Do you know what a vessel is?
There.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Let's go look up the etymology of the word vessel. Vessel. Now, let's click on it. A container from Old French vessel, container. A container.
So Nas came out with his new album. And the merchandise for the album is that sweater right there on the right. On the left, you can see all the same symbology. It says passport right there. It says Moorish league right there. At the top is another one of the merchandise for the album that he just dropped with Kanye West that has the Eye of Allah on it, which is letting everybody know that he knows what's up. And he's letting you know that he knows what's up, and he wants to see who's really going to get down with what's up. And whoever doesn't get down with what's up, then it's okay, no problem. Life goes on as life's been going on. The people who are in power are the ones with knowledge. The people who are not in power are the ones who have no knowledge. And Nas is letting you know that he has the knowledge. Not just any knowledge out there, he's letting you know he has the knowledge. That we're not black people, we're not African and all that stuff, we're Moors.
Moorish assassin, anonymous in the building. All Moroccans. What? Think I fell off or fell out, but when I yell out, I ain't afraid to tell the sellouts to get the hell out of the temple. You defile your temple, get the shell out. It's contaminated, get the smell out. You overrated, and I know you hating. What does Canaanland Moors do?
Moorish works for national progress and Moors do. Not need no fighting on YouTube to get views. We elevating minds, revealing more jewels. So who got next on the Pro Tools? Yes, my bar's next rhyme is the Moors on the rise, so you get where I'm coming from.
Young Moors say they thirsty and hungry for knowledge. Most of us never been university.
Yo, wheel that. Wheel that.
Moorish assassin, anonymous in the building. All Moroccans. What? Think I fell off or fell out, but when I yell out, I ain't afraid to tell the sellouts to get the hell out of the temple. You defile your temple, get the shell out. It's contaminated, get the smell out. You overrated, and I know you hating. What does Canaanland Moors do?
Moorish works for national progress and Moors do. Not need no fighting on YouTube to get views. We elevating minds, revealing more jewels. So who got next on the Pro Tools? Yes, my bar's next rhyme is the Moors on the rise, so you get where I'm coming from.
I make that promise, I carry out the works for my holy prophet. Stop it, if you think you can. This topic is way over your head, and most talk shit cause they can't comprehend. An optic illusion is what they see instead. Most talk shit cause they can't comprehend. An optic illusion is what they see instead, huh?
Read through, it's just info. No, we never been po. Paper to the people, nature hold the sequel. Until the mind reads decline from divine. Stuck in time, missing signs, oh the line is the people. And yes, I want you for your heads up. This your birthright, like towards wake up. I'm on the raise up, playing got the stakes up. My fire to the Jake's cup, and they all just caked up.
They say in God we trust, but really and truly,
all we got is us.
And you can't fool me, I know God is us. And we unruly, from the womb corrupt. Take off the veil, the facade is up. Move like turtle and snails in a barrage, I'm up. Like Chester made steel in a mirage, we stuck. Still I know we gon' prevail, cause Allah is what? Love.
All praise do be to Allah. We shouted out records from scriptures on the wall. Before that, look to the stars, no holds barred.
Timeless, limitless, if it goes far. Yo, it's coming like stories show fraud. Opposites on the planet, but humans that work hard planning to have it.
All my excavation.
Took my birthright, boardwalk. Yo, maybe for your bloodline, maybe for the oath that you took or the contract you signed. Constitutional fraud, boy, sign line to get sidelined. I come from seeds of divine lines.
Seeds of divine lines.
Make noise in the building.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
Rotate all day.
Rotate in the building.
Rockets, bring up Larry, baby.